Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Vitamin C's with me, your boy Adam Taylor, proudly part of the CLNS Media Network. As you can see, my boy Tim is not with us today. He's currently recovering from COVID. Get well soon, Tim. Thoughts and prayers. He'll be
Get
back
well,
as
Tim.
soon as he's better. So I've drafted in a good friend of mine, a YouTube savant, currently covering the 49ers, but he is a Celtics fan at heart. We've done multiple shows together. Mr. Wayne Patrick Brown. What's going on, Breezy?
What's going on, man? The one and only, y'all, Adam Taylor, NBA, man. This is so cool,
Thank
man.
you.
Appreciate
Thank
this,
you.
bro.
We need an applause button like you've got on your show, man.
I got you, bro. Let's see if it's set up. Let's see if you guys can hear it. Can you hear it out there? It might not be set up for your tasting.
Yeah, no sound, no
No
sound.
sound. All right,
Oh, unfortunate, man.
it's
It's
cool.
unfortunate.
I'll get it hooked up right. Don't worry. I can see it
before we
right
get,
now. Why it's not hooked up?
before we get into the show while Wayne's doing this technical fixing,
Did you get it that time?
I just need roses being thrown at me. Loving it. Before we get into the show, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and turn notifications on. Also, as of today, I've started a Substack newsletter where I'm literally just going to be going into more detail on the stuff we talk about and then posting the videos as well. So, posting the links to the YouTube. So, if you don't want to have your phone getting spammed with notifications, you can subscribe to the newsletter for free and be updated every time a new video drops. Okay, so we got all the business stuff out of the way, Mr. Breezy, man. The Celtics just won a back-to-back. They just won two straight, beat the Nets, then went out and beat the Raptors over in Canada. Bang, bang, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. They beat Brooklyn with no Marcus Smart,
No
and they
smart.
beat Toronto with no Al Horford. Both games, obviously, no Robert Williams. I haven't spoke to you all season. How you feeling about the season at the moment, bro?
It's so cool, right? Like it's like a really good sensational feeling that the Celtics are playing such great basketball with all the stuff that went down in the offseason, the coaching situation, the players, things like that. You were just trying to figure like how was this team going to be able to find themselves? And clearly they know who they are. They have their identity, right? And each night that they play, night in and night out, like they bring it. Like they bring it. Jason Tatum has been bringing it pretty much all season long. You're seeing this crazy surgence. Not a decline in Tatum, but more like a resting Tatum. And all of a sudden, Brown is shooting up, and Marcus Smart's playing some of the best point guard ball I've ever seen in the NBA. And then Al Horford, the oldest guy on the team, looks like he's the youngest guy on the team. He gets rest in the back to backs, right? He's not going to play in the back to backs. They said that was going to be the plan all season long. But man, he's out there shooting threes, pinning down. He's just doing so many really good things out there. So the Celtics look good, Adam. And as long as they can stay healthy, bro, they're gonna be tough to beat. They're gonna be tough to beat.
I tell you what, bro, one of the biggest shocks to me is how last year they were like, hey, bear with me, we got Breezy keeping the weather front and center for T-Bone Heatwave while he's resting up. So the reason Landon always calls Tim Heatwave is because when we started this show, there was a heat wave in the UK, but it was also rough where you were, right? Like we had a really hot
Right.
stretch
Oh
in
my
the summer.
gosh. Yes.
And every time Tim would come on the show, he just looked like he was like half dead. He was like, man, it's so hot. So
Shout out to Tim, man. Heal up, bro, man. Heal up.
it's always Landon rolls deep as well, man. He's always on every show we do. So I appreciate you, bro. So one of the things that shocked me this season is last year the Celtics were a top defense, first ranked
Mhm.
defense after January, and their offense was like it wasn't middling, but it was towards the middle. It was like top 10, and it would fall down a little bit, then it would bounce back up. This year we're seeing a complete flip, right? So at the moment, Boston are ranked 15th in defense, but
Mhm.
first in offense, and we're seeing some awesome offense from this team. Again, granted, the game against Brooklyn was really choppy. I mean, I wrote an article and said it had more chops than the entire Saw franchise. It was just everything good turned bad, and then everything bad went good, right? So Brooklyn would make a run, Boston would respond, and it just didn't feel like there was much flow. But these guys are finding a way to win, bro. And as you said, Al Horford looks young. He's hitting threes at a career rate at the minute. And it's not just at a career rate, he's taking more per game. He's avoiding going down into the post because obviously they want to keep his body fresh. But man, when I came into the season, that big man spot was a area of concern for me,
Super
bro.
question mark, right? Like super
Bro,
question.
like Luke Cornett has a big question mark hanging over his head. He comes in against the Raptors and just helps change the game, dude.
I think you bring up a very good point because the bench rotation, I think, has been key to this particular season. And you're seeing much of more of an offensive production, and you're getting more offensive production from your bench. So whether Luke comes in, whoever it is that they seem to want to bring in, shout out to Malcolm Brogdon, who I think is probably is he going to get this like the sixth man? Is that where we're going for Malcolm this year? Because he's been like really good when healthy for the Boston Celtics. And so I think the bench is a plus up. I'm probably the only person that's cool because I've been wanting this team to score. Like, period. Like, how many years? Like, I get that the defense is always going to be there because you got great defensive players, right? I feel like individually, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown's an on-ball defender. Tatum can post up, defend, do whatever it is he needs to do. Al Horford can block your shot. Robert Williams hasn't played, and you have to factor the fact that when he comes back, the blocks go up, the contested shots go up, defense numbers go up. But right now, we need them to be in sync offensively because if they can weather any type of storm, which they had, they're 20-5. They weathered 20 storms, right? They lost 5 of them and weathered 20. That's a pretty damn good record. If they can weather these storms and keep weathering these storms and find ways to put the defense on when they need it, like hit that button exactly when they need it and continue to score points, this team is dangerous, bro. Dangerous. The only thing they got to do, bro, is stay healthy. Because you know, like that's the only thing that keeps this team from doing anything is staying healthy.
I tell you what, you've hit a good point there, and I think you made it without even wanting to make it or without wanting to kind of put it out there too tough. So I'm going to stand on that hill for you. One of the things we're learning right now is Robert Williams is a luxury, but he's not a necessity. Right. So what I mean by that is I'm not saying that he doesn't elevate this team. He drastically elevates their defense. He gives you a completely different option or a different route offensively. But we're seeing the Celtics can win games without him. And that's important because for a guy like Rob, whose health is always in question, who can get healthy, stay healthy for a stretch and then has another setback, knowing that you went 20-5 to start the season under a new head coach with so much turmoil going on, and you've blocked out all that noise to win your first 20 out of 25 games. If Rob, God forbid, does have to miss time in the postseason, you've got that body of work where you can lean on it, and there's not, oh, dang, what are we going to do without Rob right now? You know, there was concerns about that going into that Brooklyn series last year after he had that meniscus tear and that surgery. And what we're seeing now is we can feel very comfortable knowing that Boston can sustain a middle of the road defense without Rob. And what we've also seen is when they need to lock down on D, they've been able to do that. So I would say that Rob at this point is more of a luxury than a necessity.
It's a good point. You know, he's not really necessarily needed right now. You know, so this is good. This is good for him. And it's also good for the Celtics. But let me say, it's good for him because he can really fully get healthy, right? He can take the time to fully get whatever the health that Robert Williams needs, he can get it. It's good for the Celtics because they're learning how to win without his impact, right? They're learning how to sustain wins, keep winning streaks going. They're going to have some losses in the thing. I don't think this team is going to go. I'm not saying that they can't, but they're going to have some crazy games that's going to come down to some crazy shots. I still think like Luka Magic is going to get one on us. He just does every single year when we play them. We got that West road trip coming up very shortly, bro. I know Golden State suck, but they play against the Celtics well. And I'm gonna say that, and they know they do. Like, listen, I'm a Niners guy, and I have a bunch of Golden State Warrior fans, and you know what? They've been super respectful, but they know their team is struggling right now. But when we make that West road trip coming up in about a week or two. That's going to be a really good test, bro, because we're going to go out west. We got to play the Lakers, got to play the Clippers. I think we start in Phoenix. And then it's going to be really good to see how this team, you know, kind of pans out on the road still without Robert Williams. Now, I don't know when he's scheduled to return. I don't know if you have that news. You know, you're the guru. But I'm not thinking he's coming back to after All-Star break, bro.
Yeah, so I'm not going to I'm not gonna let you call me a guru. Like that's that's
You
far too kind.
when I need to know Celtics information, I hit you up.
Well, I appreciate that, man.
Because you are like not just that you're informational with the Celtics, you actually know the game. So it's that's two different things. Because there's people out here that know how to talk. There's people out there that are great at what they do, but then there's people that just know basketball. When you're sitting there talking about pin downs and all this type of stuff, I learned it from you. So I can mention it because I know Adam knows it. And since Adam knows it, I'm gonna say it because I know it's correct. You're a guru, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Like I'm too stuff like that. I start to feel a bit like I'm like, oh man, I feel humbled, but then I'm like, nah, man, I need to be like, yo, I'm him. So
you got to be him. That's you.
But one thing I will say is, I know that Robbie's close to returning. There's been reports that they've like it's going to be before Christmas. I've seen some other reports saying just after. But my biggest thing is, regardless of when he returns, manage those minutes. Like seriously, manage those minutes. Here we go. So CLNS, the company that we're partnered with, John Zanis heard whispers Robbie's only up for a couple of possessions before needing breath at this point. So that's a really good point, right? But the biggest thing that people have overlooked here was the return has always been a return to basketball activities. It hasn't been a return to on-court play. Now, when you hear basketball activities, you instantly think, oh, he's back on the floor. Nah, dude, this guy hasn't ran up and down the court since the playoffs. He finished the playoffs. He'd done a little bit of conditioning work, realized he needed a second surgery, and he's been basically crutches and casts and boots ever since. So return to basketball work means he's got to get his fitness up. Now, when his fitness is at like 60%, put him in for a few possessions and build it up slowly, because we all know if anyone's ever done sport, whether it's basketball, whether it's soccer, football, I don't care what it is, practice reps do not equal game reps. The intensity, you just cannot mimic the intensity of real life competition. Even if you want to, you can get close. So having Rob kind of come in, giving him a few minutes, taking him back out might be the best bet. And then, as you said, one of the good things about knowing that you can sustain a winning culture without him in the rotation right now is that you can afford to be very judicial with the amount of playing time he's given and bring him back slowly. You're not in a position where you're like, shit, we're 10 and 12. We're in the Lakers position. We're fighting for a playing seed at the moment. Soon as Rob can run up and down the floor, up and down the court, he's back. Like, we're not in that position. The Celtics are not in that position. So taking it slow is going to be the best bet there.
And I agree 100%, man. Listen, when it comes to Rob, in the world of football, there's two shapes, right? So there's football shape, and then there's like football game shape. So like the conditioning, that usually, when you play a sport, it takes about 2 weeks, you know what I'm saying, to make sure you can go up and down the field or up and down the court, whatever sport it is that you play. And then you start incorporating the plays, and then you put on the pads, and then it gets physical. And then can you withstand that? So in basketball, it's just as physical, just minus the pads. Those guys are bumping, hitting each other. And we got to remember, basketball is all hit, right? So when I mean hit, that high intensity interval training, it's stop, go, stop, go, stop, go, right? And so that's your heart. And so look, Rob is getting healthier. And just acclimate him to the point to where you feel like it's on his pace. I think my major concern is just him not getting re-injured in that process. And I don't like to think like that, but I love Rob Williams. And I want to see him out here getting it in with his team.
Me too. And I want to see the lobs. I want to see him.
I miss the lobs, bro.
Man, one of the things they've done in Williams' absence is they've started putting Tatum as the roll man. So you'll see Tatum back screening and then slipping out and then catching the passes in. And he's not catching lobs, but he's catching like high-low passes. So someone's throwing it over the top from the perimeter. Tatum's getting it and then going for the dunk or the layup. And being able to do that when you've got Rob there too. So being able to be like, right, we're going to put Rob in the dunker spot on the weak side, have Tatum run back screen and slip on the strong side, and then have two passing options. Like, hey, they've killed the passing lane to Tatum. That's okay. I'm just going to throw it up because Rob's around the rim and he's just going to jump higher than everybody else and get it anyway. It just gives you an extra option to stop that offensive stagnation. And again, that's a luxury, not a necessity. I think a healthy Rob, if he'd been here from the start of the season, we'd be viewing him as a necessity.
Understood. Totally.
I think the next thing I want to touch on, and you touched on this as well, which kind of gave me the whole point for this segment, was Malcolm Brogdon's sixth man of the year, right? So to begin the season, I was like, yeah, that's him. Like, I can't think of another guy around the league that's going to be more impactful than Malcolm Brogdon off the bench. And then the Lakers put Russell Westbrook onto the bench. And all of a sudden, Russell Westbrook becomes Russell Westbrook. And you're like, dude, he could be sixth man of the year right now. Like, he's another guy out there putting in sixth man of the year production. There's a few other guys around the league that could probably be in with a shout as well. But I do think that Brogdon is definitely within that range, right? I think he's one of the top 3 guys for that sixth man of the year voting right now.
So who's your third guy? Just curious, because
this is the thing, right? I'm not too sure. Like, I've been watching a ton of basketball. Like,
I'm trying to figure it out too.
I've been watching a ton because just to give it a promo, I've been doing a show with Keith Smith, posting up with Keith Smith and Adam Taylor.
Nice.
And if you ain't watching that, go and subscribe there. And then when I'm looking around, I think Mathurin could be the guy, the rookie in Indiana playing six man. He could be a guy that is viably a rookie of the year candidate and a six man of the year candidate at the same time.
That'd be different. Has anybody ever done that before? Like when?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I can Google it, but like he's playing really well off the Pacers bench. So those would probably be my top 3 candidates in a minute: Mathurin, Brogdon, and Westbrook. Now, I don't know which way I'm going to have them. I think I've got Brogdon 1, Westbrook 2, Mathurin 3, but that changes day to day, man.
It does, but I just feel like what Brogdon is doing for the Boston Celtics, it's probably what they wanted. They thought that Derek White would be able to do. And this is not a shot at Derek White. I like the way that he's being utilized this year. And again, the Celtics' depth is key, right? I feel like depth is always key, but it's the right depth. And I feel like the Celtics right now have that depth. So they don't really skip a beat, because I like the Derek White just takes over and takes the ball and says, you know what, I can score on every drive if I want to. And not just him shooting, like him getting to the rim and finishing, getting the foul calls. He just seems more confident when he plays that style of ball. But Brogdon is almost the same way. The only difference between Brogdon and the only thing that makes me worry about Brogdon is when I watch him take the ball, hit the paint, go hard, and try to get to the rim, all I says is, please let him come down healthy, because I just know his injury history, right? And he's missed a couple of games this year due to a couple of injuries or whatever or whatnot. I think he played in 20 games this year. Is he averaging 13.9 points? Doesn't seem like a lot, but his shots are spot on. Like, they're hitting when we need him to hit. If the team is going on a run, he's able to hit a big shot, stop the run, and then next thing you know, his defense is pretty good, right? So I think Brogdon, for me, is leading Westbrook too. But Westbrook, guys, I hate to say this, but he's one of my favorite players, period. Like, I'm a fan, right? I'm a Russell Westbrook fan. And it was so unfortunate to watch his career kind of like go down the drain. But shout out to him for accepting a role and taking it, because it's not easy. Like, it's not easy from just being the man to being a guy that's got to come off the bench and, do something a little bit different. So I got to commend him for that. And Brogdon too, right? Similar stories. Brogdon was a starting point guard everywhere he went. Was it Indiana, Milwaukee, the guy? And he comes here, and Marcus Smart, that's his job, right? And so now, like, you can find a way to utilize Brogdon a little bit different. I think you lose a little bit of defense between him and Marcus Smart, but even Marcus Smart's defense is taking a little step back, right? Aren't you seeing a little bit more of an offensive Marcus Smart, or is that just me?
No. I think the Celtics are very much looking to force shots and leak out. So whereas under Udoka last year, it was very much contain the dribble, contest the shot, force late shot clock attempts, and really hunker down on that defense and close up every driving lane. Under Mazzulla, it's swipe as guys go to shoot, swipe as they cross over, but we want the ball out of their hands so we can get back on offense, right? And I think because of that, Smart's defense has taken a little bit of a, not much of a dip, but a slight dip, because the entire team's ethos on defense is we want you to take a shot from the areas of the floor where we deem it of a low value shot, where we're willing to give up your attempts, but we want you to do it quickly because we want to get back on offense. That's kind of how I've seen it over the past few weeks. You're still rotating over on the weak side. You're still like doing all the things you're meant to be doing. You're digging, you're hedging, you're switching, but it just feels like they're trying to rush teams, speed them up a little bit to get the ball back on offense. And we're seeing the benefits of that for Marcus Smart. We're seeing him, have coming up to what he's had didn't he have a 15 assist night the other game? When it against Charlotte, I think it was. I might be wrong there, but it was a 15 assist night. His shooting's better. And then when you talk about Derek White and Malcolm Brogdon, I think the biggest difference is Brogdon's more explosive. His first step's just way quicker. But we've got to shout out Ben Sullivan here, one of the Celtics coaches, often known for being like a shooting coach. And he's come in. Derek White came in midway through last season, didn't really shoot great from deep, 30.6% in a regular season over 26 games, 4.3 attempts per game. This season, 43.4% from deep after working with Sullivan. And I know that during the preseason, Derek White was saying like, hey, I've been working with Sullivan. He's trying to get me to take that lean out of my shot because he was leaning back a little bit too much. And we've seen the benefits there. Whereas Brogdon, because he's more explosive, he can pressure the rim more. He can make decisions as he's driving down, whether he wants to attack or he wants to kick it out. I just think that Brogdon is more of a, how can I put this? So Derek White is more of a connector, where Brogdon is more of a disruptor, right? So Derek White connects plays. He operates as a screener. He gets the ball out of his hands quickly, only shoots shots from his spots, doesn't really force things. Whereas Brogdon will disrupt what the defense is doing. He'll drive at you. He'll try and break you down off the dribble. And then he'll make his decision on whether he's going to shoot, pass, or whatever. And he's disrupting what you're doing defensively. Whereas White is trying to connect the offense together as like like I'm going to be a secondary playmaker for you on each play. So they both have their roles, but I do like the way that them two together being on this roster has freed up Marcus Smart's offensive game a little bit more because he's playing with more freedom, man. And I'm not sure whether that's the pace or that's just another year of being the starting point guard.
I think it's more of another year of being the start. It could be some of both, but it's something about him just finally being comfortable. Because you got to remember, his first year as a point guard, pressure, got to do this, got to do that, and you saw a lot of things forced. I mean, does he try to make that occasional flashy pass? Absolutely, it's Marcus Smart. Like you wouldn't have it any other way. But you can tell, man, he's leading the team an assist, 7.6 assists a game. Like that's crazy. Like. This is a guy that was a shooting guard coming out of college that we expected to be able to score whenever, a defensive guru. I think the fact that he's not slacking, but tailing off from the defensive numbers, hearsay, I don't mind it, meaning that he's able to score offensively. He's getting other people activated on this roster when it comes to getting them shots off. And who's still making the hustle plays, bro? Marcus Smart. So he's still out there going toe-to-toe, taking the best offensive player on whenever he needs to do it, taking on centers, he's still the guy. So I like Marcus Smart. We've always loved Marcus Smart. We're glad Marcus Smart's still a part of this team. I gotta ask you about this player though, because I kept saying that the Celtics, and I think one of the key things to them is having this particular player. I wanted a shooter. And I'm going to tell you right now, I wanted a white boy that can shoot. That was it. I don't care. He ain't got to play defense. He just needs to spot up, be ready, shoot the ball. Here comes Sam Hauser. Talk about Sam for me, bro, because this kid is pretty decent.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you know, but when Sam Hauser joined the Celtics last year and signed that two-way deal, I had an exclusive with him. So I sat me and Hauser on the one-on-one. You should be able to find it on this channel. I'll go back and make sure it's still public. If it's not, I'll put it back on public. I think I was probably the first guy to get that one-on-one as well, man. I got lucky. He was a great guy. He was hungry when we spoke. I think it was a 20-minute call that we recorded, and then probably 5 minutes either side of that we spoke without the camera. He was hungry, man. He just wanted to work. And he was very confident in his shot. He was very confident in his ability to score at the NBA level, but he knew his defense needed a ton of work, right? And I think this season, what we're seeing is throughout last year while he was in Maine, and then when he got his chances to be around the first team, he was putting in that weight room work. He was increasing his strength. And then, when you're with the Celtics and you're in practice and they're like, hey, you're on the second team, so now you're guarding Jalen or you're guarding Jason or Grant, or some big physical dudes that are playing at a ridiculously high level. I think that's helped kind of force that development as well, like that iron sharpens iron type of thing. We come to this season, what we're seeing now is Hauser's scoring off the catch. Great, he's getting that high release, he's hitting his shots, but he's also shown an ability to attack closeouts. So he'll let guys drive at him, like to close out. They'll be rushing to get the hand in the face. He'll pump fake, put the ball on the floor, make a read or finish around the rim. We saw it against Toronto. I think he had that one where he drove the ball, went up and under. And like we're seeing little bits of a game where he can come off the dribble a bit. And that's just making defenses close out differently because they don't want to get beat off the dribble by a shooter. Like Sam Hauser, if Sam Hauser beats you off the dribble, gets to the rim and scores, that's because you did something wrong. He's not meant to do that. He's meant to be a single skill guy.
Yes, sir.
And then defensively, and we spoke about this, I can't remember whether it was on the last podcast or the one before, but defensively, what's happening is teams are hunting him. They want him on a mismatch, right? So they're going out of their usual offense to try and get one-on-one with Sam Hauser. And what's happening is he's holding his own. Obviously, Luka Doncic is going to cook him. Obviously, KD or Kyrie is going to cook him.
Correct.
But they cook almost everybody, if not everybody. You know what I mean? So we can't hold that against him. But when you get like a Buddy Hield trying to hunt Sam Hauser or a secondary guy, what's happening is they're getting that mismatch, but they can't get past him or they can't get through him. And now that team's offense is stagnating, and then they have to reset, and now it's a late second shot clock. So we're seeing Hauser actually show that he can defend and be invaluable on that side of the floor. And honestly, I think he's a steal, man. He's on what, like $3 million a year for the next 3 years, putting up better numbers than Duncan Robinson, who's on $90 million over 5 years. Like, this was the Brad Stevens, one of Brad Stevens' early moves. You remember when he was, he was Hauser was undrafted. One of Brad Stevens' early moves, kind of being like, "Hey, we can find gems too. It's not just Miami that can pick guys up off the undrafted scrap heap and turn them into rotation guys. We can do that too." And what happens is, and I'm rambling here, but one of the benefits of having Hauser continue to show out is it's a testament to the Celtics' developmental schemes, right? Hauser comes in as a raw, undrafted rookie. Within 18 months, he's a top 9, top 10 guy in the rotation, impactful member of the best team in the league. Other undrafted rookies that are highly sought after, obviously not that highly because they had 60 opportunities to get picked, but somebody that slips for whatever reason and doesn't make a team in the draft, Boston's going to be one of the first teams on their list that if they get a call, they're going to try and sign with, because all of a sudden there's a direct path from undrafted rookie to rotation. And that's important. And that's why Miami and teams like Miami continue to be troublesome for teams, because they continue to find value in the late second or in the undrafted areas, and that's what keeps them being able to have so many stars but have impactful role players around them at all times.
Sounds cool.
I rambled. I do apologize.
Nah, man, you schooling. Like, I talked about Sam Hauser. I see Sam Hauser like he's doing what I asked. He's spotting up, he's shooting, it's the catch and shoot is what I like, But there are times, like you said, he's able to beat a man off the dribble, get to the rim, things like that. I just think he's been a bright, I don't know. He's just been really good for us, and he's only going to probably continue to get better. And it's probably because he's going up, or he went up against some of these really great guys like Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. You talk about this duo, like I have to put the health word in there because at some point attrition kicks in.
Yeah.
And we got to talk about right now with attrition not kicking in, like how great this dynamic duo is. I mean, you got one guy averaging 30, the other guy averaging right below 30, and you're saying to yourself, God, like what's going on? Like how are these two players gelling? There were many people that wanted to trade Jaylen Brown, and now I'm glad that they're happy that they didn't trade Jaylen Brown. Didn't he drop like 40 the other night? Like this, like now I'm rambling. These two guys are a godsend to the Celtics. They were drafted by the Celtics. I'm hoping that they remain Celtics for a long, long time, and they just continue to build around them. But let's kind of figure out, like, where's this team going? If these two guys aren't producing, where are they going to get this production from? Because I'm not seeing it from a lot of the other players. After 30.8, 27.2 or something like that, it's a big drop to Brogdon's 13.9.
It is a big drop. But that's what happens when you have two guys that are so dominant offensively, right? Okay. And that's what happens when there's such a what's the word? It's When there's such a free flowing offense, when it's there we go, egalitarian offense, everybody's getting ample opportunities to score. Nobody really cares about their numbers. It's just where's that best shot, right? We're going to move the ball until we find the best shot. And the best shot might be Grant Williams in the corner. It might be Malcolm Brogdon driving the lane. It might be a high-low pass to Jason Tatum. But that's why we're seeing the numbers more spread now. If we were running more of like a structured offense with a first, second, and third option, and you go to one of those three guys every time, Brogdon's numbers are 18, 19 a game. But you know what I mean? But then Smart's not scoring the way he's scoring. Grant's not doing his thing. Horford might not be hitting as many. And it's more structured. It's more rigid. It's easier to defend. So having so many weapons, you have to be willing to lean into those weapons.
Yeah. So what you're saying is we have the ability to do it. It's just right now they don't need to because
they don't need to.
They don't need to. That's it. That's all you had to say. Breezy, they don't need to because this guy's doing this, this guy's doing that. But if they need to, because I know for sure Brogdon can have a game. Like it's there. You look at him. Al Horford can have a game if depending on the matchup. But this is good. These are good problems. I don't know if it's a problem. It's a good problem to have because the Celtics are 20-5, bro. And let's keep it a buck. Did you have us being 20-5 right now?
No, not a chance, bro.
Just want to make sure we're on the same page, bro.
Yo, before the Udoka situation, I probably would have been like, yeah, it's possible, like
right.
After what happened with Udoka, I was like, yo, this is going to be a rough few months, man. I was well prepared for like some struggles.
Bro, I was like, it's going to take us some time to kind of get used to it. Man, that let me know that this team was constructed very well and that the coach he instills his principles, but he's letting Tatum and Brown play basketball. And sometimes you just got to do it. But I think the nucleus is the Marcus Smart factor. And I think the fact that he just knows these kids, man. He knows what these kids are capable of doing. And if you watch them play, they're able to go out each and every game and play, like I would say, on an all-star elite level of basketball. Do they both make the all-star team, you think?
Yeah, it's rigged if they don't both make the all-star team.
I think the nucleus is the Marcus Smart factor. And I think
Siri just be recording. You got to be careful you rocking with Siri, man. Siri will start recording you and you're going to get yourself in trouble. Tell me.
So the last thing I want to ask you about, Siri kind of just gate crashed. It's like photo bombing for podcasting.
Right.
So the last thing I want to hit on before I let you up out of here. About 18 months ago, we were still doing a show together for a while. And you were the only one. This was Grant Williams' second year, so his bad year where he wasn't very good. You were the only one. Like, this dude's got it, man. This dude's going to come back. He's going to figure it out. He's going to be an important. Like, I remember being like, no, dude, it's time to move on. Like, I'm man enough to admit when I'm wrong. I was wrong, dude. Like, how you feeling that? How do you feel vindicated seeing the way he's been playing?
No. You know what? In my opinion, he's an underdog. And I feel like in college, he might have been the guy, but in the pros, he was going back to being the underdog again. And Grant Williams had to come on this team and kind of figure out, where am I going to play? Who am I going to be? And I kept saying, that's going to be a guy. And the reason why is because he was learning the 3, the 4, the 5. He would dribble the ball up. He was just learning and absorbing all of that information. And that sometimes he would have brain farts and because he was overloaded. I just felt like there was something special. Some people have this it factor. And it's funny because when you say the it, you're thinking they're going to be Michael Jordan. No. That's not just what the it factor is. Grant Williams is not just the ultimate like role type of player. I just knew he had some type of energy in him that was going to allow him to compete on this elite level each and every time. He developed his 3-point shot, his defense. I love his defense. Does he flop a couple of times here and there? I would say yeah, but damn, if they just start calling foul, he wouldn't have to flop because he gets hit every single game. Bad dude got a gash on his forehead. It's an offensive foul. How's an offensive foul? He got elbowed in the head. It's Grant Williams is the energy of this team, and you need him. And I'm glad that they found a way to keep him this far. Is he going to get extended? Well, that's where your expertise comes in. I don't know. I'm hoping so. I feel like you don't want to break up this team, man. You don't. You got to figure out a way. If Golden State could figure out a way how to pay players and keep them together for the majority of their time in their championship runs, I think if the Celtics win a championship, they find a way to keep this team together and just continue to add.
Yeah, so my thing is, it's restricted free agency. You can match any offer that comes in, right? So then you have to look at the teams with cap space. Now, the one team with cap space that worries me is the Pistons, because the Pistons are a young team. They kind of need a forward that's a defense and 3-and-D guy that can come in and be a leader, right? Like Grant's vocal. He calls out defensive assignments. You can see him barking at guys like, yo, move here, go here. Bringing in someone like that from the Celtics, like with that pedigree of being, Grant Williams has been to a conference finals. He's been to an NBA finals. He's had multiple playoff experiences. He's guarded Giannis. He's guarded Jokic. He knows how to play the game. The Pistons might see value there, and they could come in with an offer that's really going to put pressure on Boston financially. Now, with that being said, I think that the way I look at it is Grant Williams is a top 8 guy on the best team in the NBA. You know what I mean? He's in the top 8 of that rotation.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like he's not a top 8 as in top 8 in the league, but top 8 on the rotation, right? So he's a top 8 within the rotation of the best team in the league. Why on earth are you going to let that guy walk? You know, you match whatever comes in. Should you have extended him in the summer? Yeah. But you didn't. You know?
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's like, should I have made that left turn? Yeah. But I didn't, so now I'm going to have to go 3 roads up and turn and find my way back. Like, it is what it is. I don't see them letting him go, but I do think the Pistons are going to be one of those teams that might put an offer sheet in that's a bit tough.
They got
push that numbers up. Yeah, jack up the price. And then that messes with Boston's ability to sign free agents, to keep Jalen, to keep Jason. Now, if Jalen makes all NBA, they're going to supermax him, and you ain't got to worry about Jalen leaving no more.
Do you think, I feel like they should. Do you think that's the route? Do you think the Celtics will do that?
If Jalen Brown makes all NBA and he becomes supermax eligible, and the way, yeah, I think you have to, right? Because that guarantees your ability to keep him and Tatum long term.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Okay.
Right now, next season, at the end of next season, Jalen Brown's not going to opt into that player option. He's going to become an unrestricted free agent, right? Correct. If he makes an all NBA team this year, it could be win MVP with Tatum's winning MVP. So let's not even, like, that's not going to happen.
100%.
But all NBA is very possible. If he makes all NBA, he becomes supermax eligible. That's like a $250 million contract. Jalen ain't making that money anywhere else.
Okay.
So then he stays, and then you supermax Tatum the year after. You pay a lot of tax, but you keep your 2 stars. You keep the best duo in the NBA all the way through their prime.
And that's what you want, because that is what will keep these wheels churning, man. I'm telling you. That's what you want.
And with that, I'm going to let everybody go. You know me, man. I like to keep my shows to around about that 30 to 40 minute mark. Before we go, Breezy, I know that you're crushing it out here on YouTube, man. You got to let people know where they can find you, bro.
Hey, man, I appreciate it, man. First, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the channel right here. Make sure you guys do that. Adam Taylor, NBA. Subscribe to the channel. My channel is at The Wayne Breezy. YouTube has handles, so if you just want to type in at The Wayne Breezy, stuff will pop up. Boom. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's a football niche type of a channel. We do 49ers, as you can see, the nitty-gritty Niners back there. But we also talk Celtics. Basketball season is here. Football season is, coming to an end very shortly. But listen, Adam, I appreciate this opportunity, man. Love what you're doing over here. Vitamin C's up, Celtics up, C's up. Let's go.
Everybody, Wayne will be back once football season's over, man. He's going to be around the ecosystem for sure. Until next time, everybody, I'm glad you enjoyed your latest dose of Vitamin C's. Peace.